Okay, welcome Queens to another episode of Break Free from Binge Eating with me, Victoria. I've got a very special guest today. I have with me Sarah, who is my previous client and now friend, which is what usually happens. And I've got her to share how she actually found the food and body freedom journey through coaching. So without further ado, Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. This is so exciting.
Me too. And as I've just landed on you before we press record, I've got 10 questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so name, age, and profession. That's kind of 3 in 1.
Okay, so my name is Sarah Mitchell. My age is 28, and I am an office manager for a television production company.
Nice. Sweet or savory?
Oh, sweet.
Me too. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Weights or cardio?
Weights.
I'm with you on that one. 3 things you love?
3 things I love. My family, my best friend, and coffee.
Oh, I love the smell of coffee, but I can't stand the taste. I'm one of them.
Oh, I love it. I've even got some right here.
Oh, have you got your water as well? That was such a cute video you sent me the other day. Have you got a fave quote or mantra that you like to use?
Yes, my favorite quote is "Life is not a dress rehearsal."
Hell yeah, it is not. Something you like that others may consider a bit strange?
Many things probably. That's a really good question. Probably adding eggs to literally everything I eat is probably the weirdest thing.
Oh, good protein though.
Yeah, being vegetarian, got to get it somehow.
Love it.
Yeah.
What about 3 things you love about yourself?
Ooh, good one. I love my hair. We were just talking about this. Yeah. What else? I love my honesty with myself, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I love my new glasses.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Love. You remind me of is it Bridget Jones?
Yeah, I love Bridget Jones.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And this is a random one. I love to hear people's answers with this one. If you could be a mythical creature or an animal, which is fair enough, which is alive now, what would you be and why?
Oh, I would 100% be a penguin.
Why?
Because they're my spirit animal. Because they're just really cute. I love them.
I say that my fiance walk, Happy Feet, he walks like that. Like every time I see him walking, it reminds me of a little happy penguin.
Happy penguin, yeah, happy feet, exactly, yeah. That's what we say about Lindy Hop dancing. Happy feet.
Love it.
Happy feet when you're dancing.
Yes. And final question. So imagine this, fast forward to your future and you're like over 100 years old and you're on your deathbed and you're ready to go and it's all peaceful and all good, etc. If you looked back on the life that you've lived, what are you most proud of yourself for?
This journey.
Wow.
Yeah, like without a doubt, 100%.
That's huge. Yeah. Let's get into that then, because I would like you to give the listeners a bit of a background story as to like where you were, what you were struggling with and where you are now. So what were you struggling with when you first signed up for coaching with me?
So little known to myself, what I thought was just issues with food and the amount I was consuming, I suppose, as in either not being able to control what I ate to not eating anything, either one or the other, just being all or nothing, was actually an eating disorder, and being able to discover that. So before, I would either be going to the gym all the time or exercising all the time and being really strict about food and having one, treat day per week, counting every calorie, weighing all my food, being religious about it, or just not giving can't say that word.
Oh, you can.
Oh, I can. Okay, not giving a fuck. Good. And just, eating everything under the sun. And obviously fluctuating up and down in weight a lot over the last, where am I now? I'm 28. So 15 years, I would say, at least, maybe slightly longer. And just thinking that I was just going to be consumed by what I weigh or what I look like for the rest of my life, and not knowing what to do about it, or knowing there was probably something I could do about it, but it would be really, really, really hard. So yeah, and that's basically been my life for the last 15 years, worrying about my weight and thinking about what I'm going to eat.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because most women that are listening to this, that is their life currently. And they're maybe exploring, maybe a different way, maybe they're in their recovery. But what upsets me is some women, including myself all them years ago, I didn't know there was another way. I didn't even comprehend when someone said to me, you don't have to hate yourself and be on a diet forever. I was like, what? I don't understand. It's like they were speaking a foreign language. Like, some women are so in it, they don't know there is this other world, and there is such thing as self-love and body image work and food freedom. It's amazing that you're here now.
Yeah.
How was what you was going through, like, for 15 years of your life? How did that affect your daily life? Like, what did it stop you doing that you kind of wanted to do?
Pretty much most things. I left school when I was quite young, and I went to work for a show jumper. So I suppose in that respect, the weight kind of stayed off because I was so active. But as soon as I stopped doing that, then it really became an issue, because I was like, riding 5 or 6 horses a day, mucking out stables, I could eat what I liked and it didn't matter particularly. And then, I stopped doing that. I went and worked in an office, and I just, the weight crept back on again. So I suppose in everyday life, I stopped doing all the things that I love doing, like riding, like going out Lindy Hop dancing. I mean, on and off I would do it, but only if I'd either lost weight, so I felt confident, or if I had got up the courage to go and do it. And obviously with horses, there kind of are weight limits to these things, so it's a really difficult conversation, and yeah, so I basically stopped doing all the things that I love doing.
And that's a lot to give up.
Yeah, because then you just don't know what the meaning of your life is, I suppose, when you do these things. Because I've really realized recently, since going on this journey, that those are the two things that actually define me as a person. Like, I wouldn't be without them, and I cannot believe that this issue has stopped me from doing it for such a long time.
And now you're doing it again, both of them.
I am, yes.
Love that.
Exactly.
I love to share these little stories, because we can laugh about it in hindsight. When someone's going through this, it's obviously not funny, but what's the most stupidest diet you've ever done? Because I think it's funny to hear the stories that we actually put ourselves through.
What was that one 8 years and years ago? It was like a cinnamon and something like concoction. I can't remember what it was called, but it was mad, and it was supposed to like make you drop like 10 pounds or something in a week.
I think
that I can't remember what it was called, but it was a celebrity one.
I think it was the Beyonce maple syrup and cinnamon diet or
That's
something
right.
like that.
Yeah, that's the one. That was the most crazy one. There have been so many, but yeah, that's definitely one. Or just eat scrambled eggs for a week and you'll lose loads of weight. I mean, just so many ridiculous things. Or like the 800 calorie diet.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't literally be able to get out of bed if I had that many calories now. My body's so used to ample
Right.
calories. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, the listeners listening, my body doesn't change size and I don't count my calories. But if I was on average guessing, I'm probably in 4,000 a day, roughly, give and take. So technically, that would mean that I would be, you know, with the scientific reason, I would be steadily gaining weight, blah, 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 blah. I'm not. Like, I trust my body. Some days I eat a bit more, some days I eat a bit less. This is the thing that really got me. I was so scared of going all in this process because I thought, well, I'm just going to gain weight forever and never going to stop. That doesn't happen, but that is a fear. And it was a fear of yours, wasn't it? Was fear of weight gain one of
Oh, for
yours?
such a long time, actually, even until probably about 3 weeks ago. I don't know, something just switched in my brain. And I think, you know, there's this great quote that actually there's some kind of nut or something that has to be turned inside out and broken down to be it's like to actually, or a seed, that's it, a seed, that's what I was looking for. A seed has to literally be turned inside out to be able to bloom and flower. And that is this process. So if you're feeling really uncomfortable and that you don't want to do it and it's horrible and you want to go and hide under a duvet, you're doing the right thing and it is going to work. I promise you it is. It really is.
I love that.
And then something just switches in your brain because you know that actually being in this journey, you are, the whole point of it is you are never going on a diet again. And that's what makes it so different, because you know that the process that you go through, even though you're not counting calories and doing all the things that you think you should be doing, the process is different. And then something just changes, and that's like, you know, that's a state change in your whole body. It's just something you can't go back from. You can't go back.
And what I like to share around that is because we have a lot of unlearning to do. So remember when you first started this process, where I'm using this word diet fuckery, which is from one of my current clients, which is a great analogy to use. There's a lot of unlearning of diet fuckery and all these things. But then when you just mentioned that how a seed needs to turn inside out, I love that analogy. What we're actually doing there is going back to how we felt when we were first born, because we all are born with loving ourselves, with an infinite well of self-love. So when you have that seed happen, and it's a journey, it doesn't just happen overnight, of course, and it's really difficult and uncomfortable, there's no going back from that though. Is that it's like a line you cross and you're back loving yourself, and the whole world's different. It really is. Why did you choose to work with me over anybody else? Did you explore any other coaches or anything?
I think I was, I mean, at the time I was kind of looking for something to, I think, fix me. And that's probably the wrong word, because in essence, there is nothing wrong, but there are just certain things that don't work. And I did look, but I didn't even know that a food and body freedom coach was a thing when I first started looking. And then I do honestly think we met by fate.
Oh,
because, that just happened. But I think I was kind of looking for something, and then I found out that it was a thing, and then I looked at the testimonials and I was like, yeah, I need that in my life.
Yeah, it was so random how I'm going to share the story, obviously, without naming names or anything like that. But this is what she means by fate. Like, I was in a personal development seminar, which I'm always investing in myself, by the way, always, still to this day. And your mum was there. And then she saw me we didn't have a conversation. She just saw me in being involved in this group, and then reached out to me. And then that's how me and Sarah met. And I'm not being funny. If that isn't like written in the stars, so to speak, I don't know what is. So thank you to Sarah's mum.
Yay, thank you, Mum. We love you.
And which brings me on to this question about the financial aspect, because this can be a really big deal for a lot of people, of course. How did you feel about making an investment in yourself when you're on the fence? Because you don't 100% know if it's going to, quote, work for you, which is what stops most people taking that step.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I did have help, I'll be completely honest, with making that decision, really luckily, from my family. So that was amazing. But looking back now, I would 100% pay it again, because what this has given me is an actual life. There is so much beauty in a blank canvas and having a life where you don't have to worry about what you're going to have for breakfast, or what you're going to for forever. Literally my life has gone from I'll enjoy it when I've lost weight to I'm enjoying it now, and you cannot put a price on that. You just can't. So yeah,
I love that.
20 million times over.
Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that, Sarah. And how, if people are on the fence, which a lot of people are, and some people can't invest, and that's okay, it's not meant to be for them in this moment, how quickly did you start to see shifts? And I know this is absolutely not a quick fix, which our diet brain hates that it's not a quick fix, because that's all we've ever been chasing our whole lives. How quickly did you start to see some shifts in regards to how you felt towards yourself and your relationship with food?
I would say probably not very long at all, maybe a couple of weeks maximum. And I knew it wasn't going to be a quick process, because I also know how small-minded I can be, especially about I'm not a small-minded person, that's the wrong thing to say, but about specific subjects where I want to be right about it, because I don't want it to change, because there's a payoff to that, which is I just want to be the way I am. But it's one of those things, I just couldn't not see the changes. Or I'm reading the material and reading the books as well. It is, I think, as soon as you said to me, this isn't your fault and this is what happens when you restrict yourself, it was just like mind blown. I just couldn't believe it. And then as soon as I kind of realized that, I realized a lot of things in that moment.
What aha moments? I mean, I can remember a few that I remember messages from you. Can you remember any that stand out to you? Like any moments where you've been like, holy shit, I need to message Vic this, like, mind blown moment? I know we've had quite a few.
I think, it'll always stand out to me the fact that I have gone to the supermarket, bought chocolate and forgotten about it. That's, that's like, who are you? I don't know. And then I think the biggest one really was really understanding that I actually have a life outside of thinking about weight and thinking about food. And that is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Like, I've got 3 days off. It's Friday morning. And for the first time in my life, I'm like, oh, what can I do today?
Other than weighing porridge oats and whatever else you were doing.
Yeah. Like, not worry about, oh, I need to do exercise. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. It's just like, okay, well, if I fancy doing that, great. And if I don't, great. It's my life.
Oh, hell yeah. And I would love you to talk about little Jane, because the analogy you've used is so powerful, and I think it might help others. So do you want to share what little Jane means to you and all of that?
Yes. So little Jane, or tiny Jane, so in one thing that you'll go through in this process is learning to make friends with your body. And my body is called Tiny Jane, and also refers to the kind of 6 or 7 year old me. And what shall I say about Tiny Jane?
If you think when you started this process, was you even aware of Tiny Jane? Was you listening to
No,
her?
absolutely not. And now I actually do listen to my body, and she knows exactly what she wants and what she doesn't want, actually. Yes, thank you for the redirect. So previously to coaching, I would just, be unkind and not very nice about my body. And now I have a relationship with her, and I like to do nice things for her. I still feel uncomfortable talking about my body, and but it's gone from not even acknowledging it to being able to talk about it on a podcast. So I suppose that is growth.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I have a new friend.
Oh, I love that. And I want to share how you used to think about fitness. And I know your relationship with exercise is that's what you're working on at the moment, like ongoing, a healthy relationship with that. First of all, how's that going? And then also, how does Jane come into that? Because again, the listeners that are listening now might be very, very similar in regards to must go to the gym 5 days a week. It's like a very kind of rigid structure of like moving their body. How have you found the difficulty letting that go and everything around that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I would either be one or the other, and it's the same with food. So I'd either be all or nothing. I'd either be going, I think in lockdown, I was probably, when I first started, going on the diet and losing weight again, I was working out for like 3 hours a day, probably more, because I do like a cardio workout, like the Les Mills, the body pump in the morning, followed by the body combat. So that's the cardio element. And then I do like, I think I haven't done enough. I think I need to do a squat challenge on the side of doing all of this as well to strengthen my legs even more. And then I think I need to go out for a 3-hour walk because there's nothing else to do in lockdown. So what do you do? And it was either that or the alternative, which is doing absolutely nothing and just lying in bed. It was never, there was never balance. So to go from that to acknowledging that there is an issue and not just thinking you're turning into a psycho because you don't want to do anything is really interesting, and coming out the other side of it. And I mean, this is how much I wanted to lose weight. I thought it would be easier to become a personal trainer than to acknowledge that I had a problem.
So you just, as you do, just get qualified as a full stage 3 level personal trainer.
Which I'm still in the journey of doing. I've done my fitness instructor part of it, and I'm still in the process. And I think it will be a really interesting journey. And I'm not saying I'm ever going to use it, but the education, something I never thought I'd go back to, do. After my GCSEs, I thought that was it, and I was never going to do anything else. So it's for confidence wise, for me, it's really was a great thing to do. But that's literally how much I didn't think I had an issue. I just really needed to lose weight. So for any of you out there really denying yourselves of confronting the problem, I really do understand. And I've got a personal trainer myself now, because I need to be able to let someone else be in control of what that looks like for me. I kind of want to give that control to someone else so I don't have to think or worry about it, and I can just actually focus on enjoying it. And now dancing's come back as well, and that's huge, because those are the two things that originally kept me fit, was dancing and riding horses. So if I can dance a lot of the time, then that's something that I enjoy and I get fit doing at the same time, and it doesn't feel like exercise. So it's a win-win-win.
Yeah. How is your relationship with food and your body now? Like, how would you describe it?
So good. I just eat what I want when I want, and my body or Tiny Jane will tell me when she's had enough. And I never used to be able to have that off button. You know, it's like with any kind of addiction, you can't understand it until you've kind of acknowledged it, I suppose is the right way to put that. And yeah, I am, one of the things I'm doing at the moment is going through my wardrobe and chucking out all the clothes that don't fit me, which I'm really excited to do. Some of them are too big, some of them are too small, and yeah, it's going to be a very liberating process. And one of the other big aha moments was I got this lovely outfit that I bought online. And, you know, you always make that risk, no matter, you know, what size you are, you always have that risk when you buy online, whether it's going to fit or not.
Yeah.
It is so close to fitting. But rather than just thinking, oh, well, I'll wear that next week when I've gone on a diet and lost X amount of pounds, I've just gone, do you know what? I'm just going to get it taken out so I can wear it now because I don't care. And actually, I was not put on this earth to worry about my weight and diet for the rest of my life. This world is too beautiful to do that. Actually.
Hell, mic drop right there.
Yeah.
It's true. And we're so consumed as women in general. I mean, I'm not saying every single woman in the world, obviously, but most of the population are so consumed with what they look like, what they're going to wear, what will they think about me, what shall I eat today? I'm eating breakfast, what am I going to have for dinner, what am I going to have at the weekend? Like, that is so exhausting, and it stops us from living.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? So how have you been living differently? I know you've mentioned a few things you've already started to do, but what can you see for your future now? You haven't got to worry about what you look like in terms of how much you weigh and what you eat every goddamn day.
Oh, so many things. So obviously dancing, a lot of dancing, trying out different types of dance as well, actually, because there is Lindy Hop, but I'm also going to try out some salsa classes because they're local to me. And I quite want to start trying ballroom because I've always wanted to do that and I've always stopped myself from doing it. So basically lots of dancing. And also I want to go and do like a karaoke open mic night, which I'm doing on Sunday because I have no fear now. It's great. Yeah, and just anything, going on dates, that's a new thing. Haven't done that for a long time. Just absolutely anything and everything.
Anything is
like,
possible.
Yeah, I'm like a little kid in the sweet shop again.
And you can have your sweets
and I can have bloody sweets and eat them. Yeah, exactly.
It's incredible. My intuition's asking me to ask you. I think it will be helpful because you have such a great relationship with Tiny Jane now. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot because I know this wasn't in the notes I sent you, but can you give like the listeners any tips that come to mind that have helped you personally to connect with Tiny Jane? Because a lot of people that I work with at the start, they're like, I don't even know how, like, I don't even know if I'm hungry. I don't know what my body is almost. So can you give any tips or tricks to help?
Number one, always like take a breath and count to 10. That's one thing that I, just center yourself. And sometimes you just need to actually go and lie on your bed for 10 minutes or half an hour and just be with yourself. Because that's the only way, once you have that quiet moment, you can kind of start building that relationship. And it will just happen. Don't force it. If you're not ready yet, you're not ready yet, and that's okay. For most of us, we've been not purposely not listening to our bodies for a very, very long time. It doesn't happen overnight, but it will. If you want it to, it will.
Yeah, and it's about trusting the process, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
What if you could use 3 words to describe me as a person, what would they be?
Oh, exciting, passionate, and kind.
Thank you. And what about as a coach? 3 words as a coach.
honest, strong, and the best coach you will ever have, ever.
Oh, I really appreciate that, Sarah. Thank you. And it's still a little bit uncomfortable for me to ask those questions, which is interesting to hold a mirror up for myself, to be like, why are you uncomfortable asking those, knowing that praise is going to come? But the whole reason I'm asking those questions is to help people who need me, and not just me, people who want to invest in themselves with whatever coach resonates with them. It's so important to make that investment in yourself, because if nothing changes, does it?
No.
And do you feel that the investment, I know you've shared this before, but as an outright question, is worth like the outcome that you've got and your journey that you're on now?
Yeah, in fact, it's a very small investment for the rest of my life. Yeah.
And what would you say to someone who is maybe listening to the podcast, trying to work it out by themselves, which is okay, and it is possible if you're extremely dedicated? What would you say to someone who was maybe in need of that support and guidance, but they're kind of on the fence, off the fence? Can they do it on their own? Can they not? What words of wisdom or encouragement would you give them?
That is a really great question. That probably a lot of your identity will be telling you not to do this because it's uncomfortable, and that it's the unknown. You've kind of got to be with, you don't know what the outcome's going to be here. And once you can understand and get that, that's where you get, there's an element of freedom in just knowing that. And once you can be with that, then I think you can do anything, really, if that makes sense.
It does, because it's, obviously I see a pattern. And the funny thing is, I was exactly the same before I invested. I was like, is it going to work for me? Because every single diet, every single program, every single thing that promises to be different that I've ever done to try to, quote, fix myself, love myself, lose weight, whatever it is, never worked for me long time. I mean, yeah, if I was put somewhere for a month and literally had no access to anything but, I don't know, bread and vegetables, then of course that diet, in quotes, will work. But then the second you go back to normal environment, normal living, being a human being, it's not going to work. So a lot of people are so scared to make the step because they don't trust themselves. So it's, how did you get over, and I know you did have help with the investment, but I believe you would have invested either way because of the position you was in. How would you encourage someone to get over that, stepping into the unknown and thinking, okay, well, Victoria's saying it works, the testimonials are saying it works, but actually, is it going to work for me?
Yeah. So I honestly thought for such a long time that absolutely nothing would ever change in this particular area of my life, to the point where I thought I was just going to be on a diet forever, literally forever. And I promise you, you won't be if you do this. You literally won't. And I know it's a cliche to say, trust me, but honestly, from someone who literally thought that nothing could ever fix this, having done all the personal development, been in a leadership program, so many things to try and work out why my eating habits and disorder was the way it was. This honestly is the answer, but you've got to want it.
Yes.
You've got to want it enough, because if you don't, it won't work.
Yeah.
You've got to want it. You've got to be the one to make that decision, and only you.
Yeah, because it's so easy to run back to dieting.
Yeah.
what we do is when we feel pressure, or maybe your body's changed a little bit and then you're freaking the fuck out and you're like, oh my God, I did this so many times. The amount of times I was like 1 foot in the recovery door, 1 foot in the dieting door, then I was like switching between the two. And yes, I was progressing a little bit. Then I'd put the brakes on, then I'd dabble in a mini diet, then remember why I can't diet and and then back and forth so many times, which is why I wished I'd got a coach like me with the program I have. And I'm not, I know that sounds like such a fucking cliche as well, but I mean it, which is the whole reason why I've built that. So you can do this process by yourself. The resources are out there, even the free content I give, but it's more of the support, accountability, those moments when you're like, this is how I'm feeling right now. And I can say, I know how you feel because I actually do.
Exactly.
And this is what we're going to do to move past this. And dieting can seem so attractive at some points during this program because you're like, oh God, this is so hard.
Yeah, exactly. Because you really doing this program, like you say, yeah, absolutely, you could do it on your own because the material is out there, but actually there are so few people talking about this topic. You would probably get to a point where you thought that you really needed someone to talk to. You'll talk to someone who you think will understand, but they probably won't, not because they just don't know what you're dealing with, and that will be it. And you know, there's nothing wrong with necessarily trying that, but you need someone that knows what this process entails and have got out the other side.
Yeah. And there's a lot of conflicting information as well, like out there. Like some people, in my opinion, they're doing good things, but then they'll say like a triggering thing, like, when you want to eat emotionally, distract yourself or do this instead. And I'm like, that's not going to work because that's restriction, even though of course feeling your feelings is very helpful. It's not, if you eat chocolate when you're feeling sad, it's not going to stop you from feeling sad in the long run, but it's only chocolate. The moment we're like, can't emotionally eat, need to call a friend, when actually the last thing you want to do is sit and have a chat when you just want to sit and eat a tub of ice cream watching a film. The more you allow that behavior is only when you can start to explore things like, oh, maybe if I take some ice cream and have a bath at the same time to take care of myself. And then it's from that energy and that space of like, it's okay, no judgments. How can I take care of myself in other ways that feel good to me, not forced or anything like that? So working with me is very different. And as I shared at the beginning, like most of my clients do become like friends in a way because we go through so much together.
Yeah.
I'm with you, like holding your hand on that journey. I can't not, it's just who I am. I'm not like this is my client, we're going to have the calls. If they need support, I'll give them a few messages. I'm like emotionally involved. Like I'm in your life going through this with you and I care so much, which is, I'm so proud of you, Sarah, and the messages you give to me. I'm just like, oh, I'm so happy for her. Like it just swells my heart. So how can people connect with you? Because I can see maybe a career down in the future of you being a personal trainer with, you know, body love versus, or body love meets personal trainer, something like that. So
that sounds fun. On the side of my TV career, obviously.
Of course.
Well, I have Instagram and Facebook, just not for this weekend because I've decided to have a bit of a digital detox, which we're allowed, but just not food ones because you know what happens there.
Yes.
So my Instagram handle, would that be helpful?
I will post everything in the show notes fine. Anyway.
You'll post it. Okay, great, because I haven't got Instagram on my phone right now. So yeah, Instagram is probably the best shout because I find it's a kind of more open-minded space. There is Facebook, it's all connected. So
I love it. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Sarah, for taking the time to do this today, because it will help more people than you know. And also it's good to reflect back for yourself to see how far you've actually come as well in the last few months. So
absolutely. No, I've had a ball. It's been great fun.
And sending you so much love. And obviously we'll be speaking on the WhatsApp.
Definitely.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.